The only defendant to appear in court was Augustine because the other two waived their right to appear. But relatives of their victims were there in the jury box. There was also a large turnout of law enforcement officers to show support for their fallen colleagues. Prosecutors will have to overcome a setback ordered by Judge Greg Weeks. He ordered prosecution witnesses sequestered outside the courtroom where prosecutors could not communicate with them, but defense witnesses were allowed to remain and observe the testimony. Defense attorney James Ferguson pointed to a controversial study by Professor Barbara O'Brien of Michigan State University. She says it shows statistical evidence of racial discrimination in capital cases by excluding blacks from juries hearing a case against a black defendant. Ferguson said there would be more.
We will also present to the court evidence of discrimination of cases throughout North Carolina and in the defendant's individual cases. And finally, Your Honor, we will present statistical evidence in addition to the statistical studies that are already before the court and which have demonstrated persuasively, powerfully, and overwhelmingly that race was a significant factor in jury selection in Cumberland County, and we will show that that played itself out in the cases of each of the three defendants before the court.
But Cumberland County Assistant District Attorney Rob Thompson had his own statistics called seated rates, which is the number of times blacks and whites were seated on juries.
A black juror hits the seat, they have about a 33% chance to be picked as a member of that jury. If a white juror hits that seat in a capital murder case in North Carolina, they have about a 33% chance of being picked as a member of that jury. Wait a minute. Seated rates. They hurt the defense's theory. This overwhelming, it must be prejudice causing prosecutors to do this, kills their case because every juror had exactly the same chance of being picked. Actually, a little better if a member of that jury panel was black. Tiny bit better chance that they would be picked as a member of that jury.
Thompson said O'Brien's study was flawed because she didn't talk to any prosecutors. She just had law students study transcripts. He equated that to judging basketball referees by listening to the game on the radio.
You're studying foul rates on the floor. You want to be on the floor. You want to talk to the refs. You want to see video right up top. What O'Brien did with this study is compared listening to a radio of the game and telling the refs whether they're doing a good enough job. She is that far removed from the facts of the courtroom.
The legislature revised the Racial Justice Act in the last session. Defense attorneys can now use statistics only from the court district with jurisdiction over a case, and they can only go back 10 years. There is no jury, and only Judge Weeks will decide the outcome. He could commute the death sentences to life without parole. I'm Matt Willoughby.